hashtag no bias, song of the year, and it's only January. And I still haven't reviewed Daoko since... oh shit. Hi there and welcome back to Japan, where I've got to be honest, I have been listening to this song non-stop since I first heard it on one of our Twitch streams last Sunday. I absolutely can't deny that I am biased towards loving it, but this is a review. You're here to hear me break down why that is and not just bleat about why I love this song so much. I'm sure there are reaction channels for that. So anyway, here we go. Let's try and break down the reasoning behind why I think this is actually a much better song than you might notice at first glance. Beautiful Days walks a curious balance of both sounding contemporarily relevant but also leaning very hard on what I'd call a late 90s handbook of sounds. There's more than a little bit of Republica's Ready to Go or the Cardigans' My Favourite Game in this song's DNA, and yet it sounds less like a parody or a regression and more like a comfortable update. Those distorted vocals and cheeky lyrics translate beautifully to the modern Japanese alternative pop sensibility, while the big theatrical build-up of the song towards its blasting crescendo again fits like a glove as it moves from the likes of Republica in the 90s to the gleeful over-the-top arrangements that set J-pop apart these days from so many of its other contemporary genres. I mean, look at modern VTuber music and tell me I'm wrong. Japan leads the way in big layered pop music. There is no doubt that Beautiful Days may fly closer to the sun with these references than may suit many contemporary listeners' taste, and this is where I have to admit a little bit of bias, as those very qualities did hit the nostalgia button for me pretty hard. But in the same way that I don't really listen to music I love from my childhood that much anymore, neither am I one for being stuck in the past, and if this had felt dated, it probably would have been a little bit more embarrassing than anything. Instead, Beautiful Days throws in a playful energy and enough wise writing techniques to make this sound, well, just purposeful, intentional, right. So how? The minimalist opening centers around an old school synth bass line, but it's peppered with bizarre and widely panned samples of percussion and, well, a baby, I think. This keeps you on your toes before Daoko bursts into a simple but energetic rap that pulls everything together in a nice, tight, headbangable, fist-pumping verse. A short and playful, spaced-out pre-chorus then follows and winds up the spring before it launches us into an incredibly simple but powerful chorus. See, a lot like the songs I referenced previously, Beautiful Days has a chorus that is little more than a few descending chords and a repeating line of lyrics. The cheeky devil is in the detail though with this one. The way the repeated vocal melody walks down through the scale each time, the way Daoko's holding of the last note becomes longer and more menacing each time, the way that the chord pattern turns from joyful blast to a tense brooding in just a few steps. The chorus is incredibly simple, but it has just enough energy and suggests just enough tension by never resolving to actually have a lot more going on than it would look like on paper. This song only has 2 choruses as well, it should be pointed out. And then there's a further real genius just in the way that it slips in a bizarre chanting bridge after the second verse and prior to the second pre-chorus, which itself is a heavily retooled and more energetic version of the first pre-chorus. I mean, this little bridge that it puts in at that point, not only does this all further wind back the spring by adding an extra delay before we get back round to the second chorus, but it also establishes a catchy chant that itself will return later at the end of the song and be layered over the final chorus. All this again giving extra fuel to the crescendo as we blast towards that insanely satisfying final note of the song. This song is just absolutely brilliant. In just over 3.5 minutes and with only 2 choruses, it achieves a vast amount of progression and variation. It's a songwriter's dream. Instrumentally, it's all rather simple and won't exactly have the guitar heads running to learn the tab at home. Melodically, it sticks to simple strings of notes in predictable scales, but it's just so well layered. It's such a well-structured journey from beginning to end. It layers up so perfectly and it arrives so satisfyingly on one big final note that you can't help but feel that this was a very, very clever exercise in proper, skillful songwriting. Daoko's a singer who I feel I need to get to know better, as her music's thus far given me a few good smiles despite me needing to dive in much further to get a better understanding of what makes her tick. There's no doubt that this Daoko performance is less of a powerful lead vocal as it is more fun and characterful. It's that kind of delivery, but she pulls it off really well, and again it plays towards the cheeky personality of the song overall. In the video, the rest of the band standing stoically bobbing their heads whilst rooted to the floor in a way, again somewhat reminiscent of 90s alternative bands. It's all got a lot of personality and fun attached to it. And then you've got the video, which itself is a gleeful barrage of references covering everything from silent movies of the early 20th century through 1920s animation up to 80s neon and early 3D effects you'd probably expect to see in the 90s. Truthfully, they all look like they're just having a giggle, referencing something and just playing in the music, playing on the screen, having fun, and it's so infectious and just oozes with personality. So it's hard for me not to conclude that this isn't just one of the best songs I've heard in quite a long time, or one of the most fulfilling songs, whether it be things like the 90s references that yes are a little bit obviously going to affect me more than people who didn't grow up in that era, whether it be things like just the playful visuals. There is a lot here to get your teeth into, and I can't help but feel that this song, if nothing else just for its pure effectiveness, is likely to end up in the end of year awards at the end of the 6th year of the channel. However, I am also painfully aware of the fact that it's not necessarily going to work for everyone as much as it works for me. The one thing that I think can't be denied though is underneath it all, there is just such a good structure to this song. So I would encourage anyone, whether you be into the things that I said this song has or not, to just listen to it all the way through from start to end. Not in the background. Give it your full attention, give it those 3.5 minutes, and just see if it resonates with you, because of the fact that I just believe that this is such a well-constructed song that if there's any possibility that you get that wonderful spark of joy from this song, from its progression, from its build-up, from its payoff that I did, it'll be well worth that 3.5 minutes spent. So anyway, those are my thoughts. As always, get into the comments, tell me what you think, and until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these, for now, ciao ciao.